What's happening, guys? Cooper Carter here for G66, and on this week's Fractal Friday, we're going to be talking about how to take the 5 soft knobs on the front panel of any Fractal unit and make them do pretty much anything you want. One of the things I hear a lot from people playing in the analog space is I could never go to digital because I'd miss being able to reach down and turn the knob on a pedal or reach over to an amp and turn something up or down when I'm playing live. And there is a bit of a shift because a lot of the changes that you do make in the digital world are using a mouse or a keyboard. But with the Fractal units, there is one feature that I think a lot of people probably don't know about, because I also get questions from Fractal users a lot of the time saying, how can I go and adjust things on the fly live using a knob? Do I need to have the editor open during a concert so I can use the mouse and the keyboard to make changes? And the answer is no, because with the 5 soft knobs below the screen on the X-Fx3, the FM9, and the FM3, we have the ability to assign an almost endless number of parameters using the per preset and global performance screens. Now, as always, this is a very quick video, but if you want to dive even deeper into your Fractal unit and get the absolute most out of it, whether it's the X-Fx3, the FM9, or the FM3, make sure to visit classes.coopercarter.com for my complete masterclass series. And I'm very excited to announce that the FM9 class will be available for purchase and unlimited streaming on December 1st. If you've spent any time at all going through factory presets or even building your own presets on a Fractal unit, you've used these 5 knobs here, A, B, C, D, and E, and you've probably clicked them as well since they are push and turn. These knobs are incredibly useful for example, double-clicking the A knob to get to the amp block, and then using the knob itself to adjust the bass in the middle, or the treble, and the gain, or if we click down to adjust the input trim here, or maybe the level of the amp. And this holds true for any edit screen. For example, in this cabinet block, we can navigate, we can change values here, etc., etc. But these knobs aren't limited to what you see on any given edit screen. In fact, if we exit and go back to the home screen here, if we page right, you'll notice we have a page called Perform per preset. And we have 2 knobs here, low amp level and high amp level, that we can use to adjust those 2 parameters on the fly. If we move over to the editor here, you'll see that if we go to this Perform tab, we have the low amp level and the high amp level, which control the level knobs of these 2 amplifiers here. And in this preset, amp 1 level and amp 2 level have been renamed low amp level and high amp level, since you can customize the names of the knobs. But here's the cool thing. For every preset in the unit, so let's just page up here to Albert's lead, you can populate up to 10 different knob slots for direct access to any of these parameters. So this preset here has 9 out of the 10 filled, but if we go to, let's say, the reverb block here, and we hit Perform, we can click and drag any of these knobs on any of these pages straight onto this slot here. So let's say in addition to the reverb mix here, which is already right there, we want to adjust the time of the reverb as well. We can click and drag that right here. And for sanity's sake, we can swap these reverb and drive knobs so that the 2 reverb parameters are next to each other. So on the front panel, we'll just nav down. So this second row of knobs is highlighted. And if we turn the D knob here, you'll see our reverb time goes up and down. And if we turn our E knob, you'll see our reverb mix goes up and down. And if we scroll through these factory presets, you'll see that many of the most vital controls for these presets have already been populated into the performance controls. But here's where it gets even cooler. Those of you who are ahead of me have seen this global performance control page. On the home screen of the front panel, all you need to do to access the global performance page is page right twice. So once for Perform per preset, twice for Perform global. And I've switched up to my live preset here. If I go to my performance tab, you'll see that I've already populated out the per preset performance controls. I've got amp 1 gain, amp 1 overdrive, bass, mid, treb, and then I've got the drive of my drive pedal, the tone knob of my drive pedal, the amp EQ gain, which if we go to my amplifier block, you'll see on my input EQ, I've got a little hump here at 1K, and I can adjust the gain of that during my performance by using the C knob. I've also got an amp 1 input boost switch here. So if we go to the preamp page, you'll see this input boost switch is actuated by turning the D knob back and forth. And then I've got a delay mix parameter, which of course adjusts the mix of my delay here. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know I'm the kind of player that likes to stay generally on one preset playing live. So these are my most used parameters, and they might be good candidates to just copy over into the global performance controls so that I have access to these same parameters on any preset. But given that I already have these set out per preset, there are more useful parameters that I can populate these global performance controls with. So let's clear the global parameters here and talk about a couple of things that I like to add to global performance controls for use live. First off, it might surprise you to know that you can actually populate either the global or per preset performance controls with knobs from the setup menu. So you might want to drag the noise gate offset here to adjust your noise gate on the fly in any preset without actually changing the noise gate in the preset itself. Another very useful one to drag onto your global performance controls may be for you USB 1 and 2 input level. This will control the level of any backing tracks that you're playing over USB from your computer or DAW through the analog outs of your Axe-Fx. So I use this parameter quite a bit to account for the difference in different tracks coming from maybe iTunes or YouTube, or even live from my DAW when I'm playing in a clinic with backing tracks, and you can adjust the level of those tracks by simply adjusting this knob here. In my live preset, I have this amp EQ gain and also gain for the amp and overdrive, as well as a drive parameter on my drive pedal itself, but you might want a global control over the input 1 gain. Everyone's been in the situation where you're not really feeling it live, and just bumping the gain of the input up just a little bit to drive your preset just a little bit harder can really take you to a better place if you're not feeling your playing. Of course, also, if you feel like you're coming in a little hot, you can always just dial this back a bit, and every preset you hit will be getting a little bit less gain from your guitar. For anyone who's ever been searching for a talent knob in a Fractal unit, this is probably it. If you goose this up a good bit, you definitely start playing a little bit better at the expense maybe of some clarity, but definitely a good tool to have live. Another great live tool can be adding this 1K slider to the global EQ. 1K can be a really great frequency for boosting just a slight bit if you feel like you're not cutting in a mix, so this is another great thing to have in your live toolkit. For fans of the virtual capo, another thing that you can add to this screen, which could be super useful live, is the shift parameter of that virtual capo. This gives you instant access to adjust the pitch, so of course standard. And depending on your setup, this might save you a foot switch you would use for different channels of the virtual capo to have different tunings. And if somebody calls a song in E flat, all you need to do is reach over and shift down a semitone. So literally any parameter in the unit that's either a switch or a knob can be added to these performance pages. And I encourage you guys to get creative with this and explore and see what's the most useful to you in either a studio or a live environment. Keep in mind, again, the setup menu here is completely open to you as well. And this can give you really quick access to global control that otherwise you'd have to go digging through menus for. And there you have it, a very quick, very simple way to recapture a little bit of that old school analog rock and roll performance vibe, where you can just reach down if you're on the FM9 or the FM3, or reach over to your rack Axe-Fx 3 and turn a knob to maybe turn up the gain or bring up the level of your delay in real time. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to G66's channel, and leave me a comment in the comment section below letting me know what you would like to see on a future Fractal Friday, and maybe what you're assigning to your front knobs. And as always, if you'd like to get even more out of your Fractal unit, whether that's the Axe-Fx 3, the FM9, or the FM3, make sure to visit classes.coopercarter.com for my complete Fractal Audio Masterclass series. For all things Fractal Audio, keep it right here on G66, and I will see you guys next week on Fractal Friday.